Why are you getting hit in the high guard? By the end of this video, you will know what your high guard is missing and how to make it better. You have seen it many times before. A coach yelling, "Hands up," and an athlete eating leather non-stop. His hands are up, but it's not making a difference. But why? Why do so many people have their hands up and get punished? It just feels like there's something missing. And of course, a lot of information is missing. The stance and the guard is the first thing they teach you on your first day on the gym. And for most people, it's the last time they're going to learn anything about those things. To fix this cycle of misinformation, I have decided to make this video. And I will be using Canelo versus Munguia as an example for my explanations, since both fighters use the high guard so much. I will define what makes a good high guard. As we go through its elements, we will talk about some common misconceptions and how to apply good technique to your high guard. Let's get started with a question. What is the high guard? Do you know the difference between the high guard and blocking a shot? I believe the first problem that people have with their high guard is that they put these two concepts together, and they are not even in the same category. The high guard is just a stance, the position of your hands and your whole body before exchanges. Blocking is just the defensive movement of absorbing a shot on your arms, the same way that you can roll, step out, and parry. The high guard does not mean that you must block punches. As we will see later, Canelo barely blocks with it. It is true that the high guard facilitates blocking shots, but at the end of the day, the high guard is just a stance. And a good stance only needs 3 elements to work well. Full vision, to see punches and react. Ability to move. It should allow you to defend, punch, and use your feet. Close immediate openings. That no one can just land a punch on you. They must open you up before they can land something. Let's break all these elements down to see what your high guard might be missing. Let's start with the first point. The high guard should allow you to see. This is one of the first problems that people have with the high guard, and it's really easy to fix. If you feel blinded when you are using the high guard, it could be for 2 reasons: your hand positioning and your distance. The hand positioning is simple. If my hands are flat against my face, they can cover more surface, but I am partially blinded. And as you can see, you only have about 2 to 3 inches of cushion to block. It also offers a bigger flat surface for your opponent to punch. And on top of that, it's really awkward to punch from this position. What you want is to position your hands like binoculars. It gives you a better vision. And an extra 6 inches of padding for parrying and blocking. This position also gives you a narrower punching surface that makes it easier to deflect shots. Notice how all of Munguia's jabs get deflected. This deflection is really off-putting to your opponent because their punches won't be landing flush. And even better, because the punches get deflected, the impact gets diminished. It is also easier to punch with your hands on this position. Just by changing the position of your hands from this to this, you have better vision, better deflection, and a more comfortable position to punch. And there is still more that you can do to improve your vision. Let's look at the distance. For some reason, most people think a high guard means mid-range. So as soon as they put on their high guard, they just dive into the mid-range to get hit. And this happens regardless of your high guard technique. In this example, we have Canelo stepping into the mid-range with a high guard, because there are no setups he's received with a bunch of punches. Rushing your way into the mid-range without setups is going to get you hit, regardless of the guard. And of course, this will make you feel blinded because you are too worried about blocking those shots coming at your face. So, where can we use the high guard? The high guard can easily be used in the long range, as any other stance. And at the right distance, you will be able to see the punches coming. Then, later on, as you feel comfortable, you can work your way in. So, it is pretty simple. Keep a safe distance so you can see those punches coming. And as you gain confidence and read your opponent's timing, you can work your way into the mid-range. Let's move to the next element of a good stance. It should allow you to move. Like every other stance, the high guard should allow you to move, punch, and defend. If you can't, then there's something wrong. And here is when I hear another misconception. The high guard makes you static. And I will admit, at the beginning, it's kind of awkward to use the high guard. But with practice, it is possible to stay dynamic using the high guard. But you have to consciously be practicing for this skill. Once you practice enough, you will be surprised on how loose you can be on a high guard. In this sequence, we see Canelo adjusting his distance. He's using the high guard as a rangefinder. As soon as Munguia jabs too close, he moves back, keeping a solid base. Notice how he's able to move in, move back, and react to Munguia's punch. Canelo keeps a high guard, catches a 1-2 and pulls for the hook, goes back to the high guard and deflects the jab. Now he initiates his own attack, uses his right arm to push Munguia and take an angle. Now he gets back to the high guard to bait a shot. As soon as Munguia opens up, Canelo answers with a sharp hook. In this one, Canelo uses the high guard to bait a shot. He pulls and counters with a left hook. As you can see in these sequences, the high guard can be pretty dynamic. As I said before, Canelo is barely using it for blocking. Like any other stance, the high guard allows you to move and adjust to whatever you need in the fight. You are not limited to the mid-range, forced to block and take all your opponent's shots. Now, there's an important thing to notice about Canelo in these sequences, and that is Canelo's center of gravity. Let's watch it over. Notice how wide his base is. As he moves around, his chest is down and center of gravity is low. This means that Canelo is balanced as he moves. Balance means that he can punch and defend at any moment. He leans in while he jabs and steps back. He tries to counter with the left hook with his torso still engaged. This is the secret to having a solid and responsive high guard. The moment that you raise your chest and lift your center of gravity, it gets harder to move and punch. Think of your boxing stance as a triangle. If the base is wide, the shape is balanced and it won't tilt. A narrow base and a high center of gravity will make you lose balance. Let's watch some examples of another fighter who also uses the high guard, but have a narrow base and a high center of gravity. Notice how easy it is to tilt over when your base is narrow, even from your own punches. When Matias goes back to his base, notice how narrow this is. It just takes one punch and the triangle is tipping over. Now the high guard is being used in the mid-range, so Matias is being blinded with the lead hand. Notice again his high center of gravity, compared to Paro's engaged base. Paro now punches and pushes, knocking him off balance. Matias forces his way into the mid-range, and Paro blinds him again and punches the body, knocking Matias off balance again. When Paro throws a combo, notice how Matias' high stance makes it hard for him to keep his balance and punch back. Thanks to this narrow base, Matias gave away exchanges like this through the fight. If all these reasons are not good enough for you, I have one more reason why you should have a low base. I will go on a little tangent right now, but I'm really sure that you want to hear this. If you don't lower your base because of the mechanical benefits, then do it for the most important people watching your fight. Your family? No, the judges. Tell me, which punches are easier to score? This or this? It is that simple. How you take a shot influences the judges a lot. If you stay compact with a low center of gravity, even if you're getting hit, the judges might miss it. On the other hand, when you raise your chest and you're tilting your head every time you're getting hit, then it becomes way easier for the judges to score those punches. And you can see it's clearly a base issue. It's not related to the power. If you feel like the judges are not appreciating your boxing skills, then make it easier for them to appreciate them by not lifting your head every time you're getting hit. It's a pretty easy solution, if you ask me. Okay, so now we have our hand positioning down, we have the proper distance, and our center of gravity is low. Now we're missing one more ingredient that ties everything together, closing the immediate openings. I am sure you have heard this expression before, splitting the guard. Is the main weakness of the high guard, or is it? Well, most people's problem is that they put their hands up in a generic position that is easy to punch through. Position your hand directly on the way of the shot, so the punch's path is blocked. So, by positioning his hands in the right spot, Canelo does not have to work hard. His rear hand is on the way of the jab, and his lead hand is on the way of the cross. He can block these punches with minimal effort. Remember, we are assuming that you are at long range. Once you step into the mid-range, it becomes harder to close gaps because you have to block both in front of your face and around your face, making everything harder. This is why I like teaching the high guard in the long range, where you don't have to worry about hooks and uppercuts. In the long range, you have to worry only about the jab and the cross. Notice how Canelo's rear is moving minimally to deflect the jab. That hand is already on the way to catch the jab. His hand is closing an immediate opening. Let's look at the rear. Same idea. It's on the way of the right hand. To be honest, the positioning of the hands is what most people is missing. As soon as they put their hands on the right spots, their guards improve quickly. Just think about covering your right eye directly in front of the path of the jab, and then bring your left arm directly on the path of the cross. This is the position that you get from a generic high guard, and this is the position that you get when you purposefully block the path of the punches. To make your guard more solid, we have to add one more consideration. You want to pin your hands to your face. This will make the guard stronger. If you put your hands up, only tensing your shoulders, your hands will be easier to knock off their place. As you can see, just putting your hands up makes it easier to move them around. By pinning your hands to your face and tensing the muscles of your back, then it becomes easier to resist the punches. It is really important to remember that I am not expecting you to block every punch, but if you're going to do it, you must do it right. And the best way to do it is by pinning your hands to your face, tensing your back muscles so your hands don't move when you're getting hit. Now, we have reviewed all the elements: the vision, the center of gravity, and the hand positioning. Having a good guard is crucial to win fights because you don't want to give away points. But it is really important to know when and how to throw combinations so you can gain as many points as possible. If you want to improve your combinations, click on this video, where I break down Canelo versus Munguia again, but now I compare the combinations and explain why some of them are more successful than others. If this video was useful, share it with a gym partner that might need it. Thanks for watching.